Michael Fabricant, who is known for his flamboyant mop and quirky personality, often brings a touch of humour to British politics when things get a bit too dull. His hair alone could have a Twitter account, given how often it is the subject of a conversation. Imagine if Fabricant's hair had a cameo on Talk TV on its own, like some sort of mammal. Some sort of blonde mammal. It might steal the show away from all the other failing guests. Speaking of Talk TV, the late night slots with James Whale are where things truly get entertaining with his sidekick. And Whale, who has a sort of no-nonsense attitude and a penchant for stirring the pot, is in many ways a perfect foil to Fabricant's winsome eccentricity. Watching Fabricant and Whale interact is like watching a comedy double act. And Fabricant, with his eccentric charm, endearing himself to Whale and his sharp tool. But where Whale is trying to steer Fabricant onto issues and slapping down his sidekick, who wants to ask other pertinent questions, Fabricant also quite shamelessly steers the conversation onto his favourite topic, which is himself. It is television gold, and a great improvement on anything you might see on GB News or frankly breakfast TV on either the BBC or ITV, if you can stay awake for that long. Perhaps Whale could challenge Fabricant to a hair styling duel, and Whale could adjust his occasional lock and marvel at the luxuriant follicles of Fabricant. The winner gets to choose the night's most controversial topic. Now, that would be entertaining TV, which brings me to Whale and Fabricant. And Fabricant was asked on the Whale show on Saturday why he thought he lost the general election, why he lost his own seat at the general election. And he had a range of answers, and I'm going to go through them in reverse order. First of all, he blamed civil servants. Well, I think it's possibly unfair. There's a lot of civil servants who are just doing their job. I think he might have blamed bureaucracy, and I'm very careful when I use the word bureaucracy. I like to think of bureaucracy in its proper meaning. Bureau and kratos. Bureau is a desk, kratos is rule, so it's the rule of a desk. And I don't see the point of being ruled by a piece of wood, being ruled by an inanimate object. And I think bureaucracy has its place. Civil servants have their place as servants, as people and paperwork that serves the nation and does its job to realize the needs set out by ministers, set out by the authorities. But the civil service should recognize its position. It's a service industry. But so often we find civil servants and banks and so on are using the strength of their position because of the sheer overwhelming amount of paperwork that's been collected, either physically or in the computer. They're using their position to confuse and to delay rather than to action and to do and to implement. And so if it were just civil servants, Fabricant would find me a receptive audience, but it's not. And nor does he make that distinction between the bureaucrats, the mindless control by bureaucracy, or the the undertaking to provide support to the people in charge. And then he blames Rishi Sunak, who must be developing quite broad shoulders by now. And finally, he blames the post office, which is quite a laughable target. And I delivered the post at one point, and I loved working through the night in the post office. Most of the time I was cleaning floors, but there was a short period when I was put on to sorting the post and then delivering it. I hated that. So I do know how tough that job is, how hard people worked. And in my day, we worked literally through the night, which I quite enjoyed. I like working through the night. And then I would go on and do my day job, which I think at the time was teaching. And I regularly in those days used to do 2 jobs at the same time, one during the day, one during the night. It worked very well for me, and I grabbed a few hours of sleep here and there whenever I could. And now I quite treasure a night's sleep, and I slightly miss even the half an hour that's taken away from me. But in those days, I was a sort of mix and match, pick and mix when it comes to sleep and work. And I think Michael Fabricant is unfair to the post office, but he claims, as you'll see, I'm going to play it actually. He claims that there's a postman who sent him a photograph. Let me show you the footage, and you can judge for yourself.
It does actually. But
do you blame Rishi? Do you blame Rishi Sunak ultimately?
Ultimately, I guess I do blame Rishi Sunak. Yes, it was a lousy campaign at a bad time, and we didn't deliver what we should have delivered. You know, I was listening to your earlier discussion with Peter, the ex-police officer, and he's dead right in what he says. You know, we have come too woke in this country, and I don't think the majority of people like it. And
no, they don't.
Rishi Sunak doesn't like it either, but did he do anything about it? Not much.
Do politicians have the ability now to defy the public servants and make them do what they want them to do? Because I get the idea that it's more or less all the
you look at Priti Patel.
Yeah, what do they call them? Not public servants.
They're in charge. Yeah. Civil service
civil
now
service, yeah.
Have the whip hand over the MPs, and they're all
yeah.
left,
And it wasn't just Rishi, and it wasn't just Priti Patel. It was Dominic Raab as well, who wanted some efficiency. And they said, "Oh, you know what? He bullied us because he wanted things done on time."
Yes.
Well,
and
I
threw
tell
a
you
tomato.
what,
Do you remember they said threw a tomato?
I do. I do.
I've done more than that this evening to the people working in the control room.
Oh,
to keep
bunches of tomatoes.
I mean, honestly, what on earth? As soon as you shout at somebody, you're a bully, aren't you? So
Yeah,
I'm a bully and I don't care.
Well, I used to work in broadcasting, as you know, James,
Yeah, I do.
long time ago, and a lot of shouting goes on because you need to get things done properly and on time. If you're going to read an 8 o'clock news bulletin, you need to be there at 8 o'clock.
Michael, what I don't understand is how you still look the same and I look about 50 years older. It's got nothing to do with his hair. Leave his hair alone.
It's the monkey glands. It's the monkey glands.
Monkey gland. He takes monkey gland, yeah.
Do you mind people taking the mick out of your hair or not?
You take the wrong gland, James.
I don't mind. It's a trademark of mine, I think, now. But it's me.
Yep.
I was talking to Jeremy Vine the other day on another radio station.
You shouldn't talk to him.
I know, but, you know, he's a nice guy. Except when he goes bad-tempered on his bicycle. Yes. I don't know whether you've seen his YouTube.
I've seen it. I'd have all bicycles banned from London if I was
What's next for you? Are you going to do a train
programme?
You
wouldn't like that.
You're going to do a Portal.
I remember, you know, I was saying to him, I used to be at university in California back in the 70s, would you believe? And I remember I used to know a guy called Jan Michael Vincent, who was an actor, and he was a sort of surfer dude. And I think deep down psychologically there's something wrong with me because I think I still want to be that surfer dude when I was in my 20s.
Now you can do it.
Would you now take a job as in the media? Would you like to have your own show somewhere?
I think I would, if I'm honest with you. I enjoy communicating with people. Enjoy talking to you, James, and yeah,
I'm trying to get rid of him and get somebody else. So can I put you down on my list?
Oh, please do.
You know, Michael Portal.
How much do I have to pay you to do the job?
Not that much,
Can we talk about that off air? One last question. Will you join Reform?
No. No. And I'll tell you why. Look, I have a great deal of respect for people who voted for reform, but reform is a protest body. It's not a political party. They complain about things.
And unfortunately,
area we're
On the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
right, welcome back to the James Whale Show. Unleashed tonight with
Starring
Ash.
Ash.
Not necessarily.
Not just
no.
with Ash.
No, with him.
Starring.
Unfortunately, we tried to get rid of him, and apparently his
Read the
contract
small
is
print.
very difficult. Now, let's talk to our good friend, former Conservative MP, Mr. Michael Fabricant. Michael, good evening to you. What's it like living in the land of I don't know.
Lichfield.
Yeah.
well, it's always lovely living in Lichfield. It's a beautiful city. And of course, I'm spending rather more time here than I had been doing over the last 32 years.
How did you feel? Did you know you were going to lose your seat? Did you have a feeling or not?
I got a feeling in about the last week of the campaign that probably I might lose the seat. I got a phone call from someone at Conservative headquarters who was saying that, you know what, looking at the demography, the makeup of your area, we're a bit uneasy about people voting reform. And yes, I mean, you know, I've had 32 years. I'm not making any excuses. Actually, I am going to make one excuse, if I may, James.
Go on.
And the one excuse is that half my literature never got delivered by the Royal Mail. All the Labour Party stuff got delivered, and as far as I know, all the other parties had their stuff delivered. Every home, 47,000 homes in my constituency, should have received 2 lots of mail from me, never got delivered. But
Are you going to take that up
I
with
don't
them?
know.
Are you going to take it up with them?
I am taking it up with
Good.
them. I spoke to a guy called David Gold, who is the director of Royal Mail, during the campaign. And since then, I will tell you that a friendly postman has sent me photographs of all my stuff stacked up in a sorting office, not being delivered.
Dear, oh dear.
Not
oh
good.
dear.
That says
But look,
everything, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does, actually.
Do you
But
blame
know
Rishi?
what?
Do you blame Rishi Sunak ultimately?
Ultimately, I guess I do blame Rishi Sunak. Yes, it was a lousy campaign at a bad time, and we didn't deliver what we should have delivered. You know, I was listening to your earlier discussion with Peter, the ex-police officer, and he's dead right in what he says. You know, we have come too woke in this country, and I don't think the majority of people like it. And
No, they don't.
Rishi Sunak doesn't like it either, but did he do anything about it? Not much.
Do politicians have the ability now to defy the public servants and make them do what they want them to do? Because I get the idea that it's more or less all the
You look at Priti Patel.
yeah
What happened to
what do
her?
they call them? Not public servants. What
They're
is
in
it?
charge.
Yeah.
Civil service
Civil
now
service, yeah.
have the whip hand over the MPs, and they're all
Yeah,
left,
and it
they're
wasn't
all
just
left.
Rishi, and it wasn't just Priti Patel. It was Dominic Raab as well, who wanted some efficiency. And they said, "Oh, you know what? He bullied us because he wanted things done on time."
Yes.
Well,
And
I
threw
tell
a
you what,
tomato. Do you remember they said threw a tomato?
I do, I do.
I've
And,
done
you
more
know,
than that this evening to the people working in the control room.
Oh,
to keep
bunches
them
of tomatoes.
on the- I mean, honestly, what on earth? As soon as you shout at somebody, you're a bully, aren't you? So
Yeah,
I'm a bully and I don't care.
Well, I used to work in broadcasting, as you know, James.
Yeah,
a
You see,
long
I
time
think
ago.
if he had photo evidence of all his leaflets stacked up to the ceiling in some strange unspecified photo, as in some strange unspecified postal delivery depot, I think he would be showing us that photo. But he isn't, and I don't entirely believe him. He tells a good story, but it's a bit of a porky, I think. It's Mr. Kipling bakes exceedingly good cakes, and Michael Fabricant is more interested in a good story and a wheeze than he is in the truth, I fear. But be that as it may, I also think he's not going to have very many friendly postmen if he betrays their confidence like this on if not quite a national television service, then certainly a service that aspired to be. at one point before it was completely jettisoned and transplanted into some strange alleyway of media distribution. Maybe Talk TV can blame the post office for its inadequate views as well. But it's getting a bit rich when when the post office is blamed not only for not distributing Michael Fabricant's mail, but also for the whole post office scandal. It's again, the shoulders of the post office are not as broad as Rishi Sunak's, and Michael Fabricant is a little unfair and a little vague, and I think it's a tall tale. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'd be very interested to hear. And by the way, do check out my other video and my other channel. If you at the end of this video, there's a link to Assange, which got a little picture. The thumbnail is a picture that I drew of Mr. Assange. And I'm going to do more of these videos, more of these deep dives and academic videos to help people as they move into the next academic year. And that will be a slightly different channel, which will be charged with longer pieces and perhaps more useful pieces, whereas this channel will continue to dish out political invective and win some thoughts about daily events.